Hey guys, it's Gawain, and today we're going to be taking a look at that one guy from Splinter Cell, Sam Fisher, aka Zero. Wait, is this a crossover episode because I don't know the first thing about Splinter Cell? Zero is a 2-speed, 2-armor attack operator and is one of, if not the most versatile attack operator in the game, with his insane intel gathering potential, mild utility clear potential, hard breach potential, and potential to destroy bulletproof gadgets too, all paired with a very good gun. Zero is the Swiss Army knife of siege operators, so let's learn how to get the most out of him. Zero is equipped with his triangle cam launcher, which shoots, well, triangular cameras. Sam Fisher gets 4 of these triangle cams each round alongside 2 drones, which gives him a total of 6 intel tools, which gives him more intel than the CIA. Wait. Each one of these cameras gets a laser beam to shoot, similar to Twitch's shock drones. However, Zero only gets 1 shot before having to reload on that camera, but it also takes 15 seconds to recharge 1 shot, exactly like Twitch's Zappy bots. This laser beam feature should be treated as a secondary feature most of the time, however, as gathering intel is the most important aspect of Zero's kit. Intel man should try to set up at least 1 or 2 flank cams, as they can be extremely useful, and they will give any dead teammates an important job to give callouts from flanking defenders. This being said, these flank cameras are only as good as the people using them, because if you red ping with them, then they will get shot very quickly, as each SAM cam emits a green light when in use, and it's very obvious to spot. Use yellow ping and your microphone to give callouts to inform your team of the position of enemies if or when you spot them. Try not to launch your Argus cams directly into sight, as they make a very distinct noise when deployed, so every defender within the bomb site will frantically look around everywhere to try and destroy it. Sometimes it is useful to send the cam into sight to check 100% that there's someone in there, but try to avoid doing this, as 4 cameras can really disappear fast when used incorrectly. This being said, what is the correct way to use these cameras? Setting up flank cams as aforementioned is my favourite way to use these cams, as I use my 2 drones to see what's in front of me, whilst these stationary information devices can check behind me. Argus cams can also be used to check into bomb site from above or below, as they are less likely to get shot when in the floor or the ceiling, but be careful when doing vertical play, as you need the arrowhead on top of your reticle to indicate if you can shoot the camera through the surface or not. If it's there, then you are free to shoot the camera and it will go straight through, whereas if it does not show, then it won't go through the surface and the camera will be facing back towards you. This applies to all walls, floors, ceilings and obstacles in the map. If you want to set up a flank cam, but end up sending the camera through a surface rather than facing the direction you want, then just hop on that camera and press the button you used to vault to swap views on the cam, and you will now be looking in the desired direction. It's also worth mentioning that SAM cams can go through both soft and hard walls, but not impenetrable ones. Obviously. Finally, you can clear defender utility with the inbuilt laser pen, but don't rely on it. Most of the time, you will get off 1 shot before your cam gets shot, and that's if you're lucky. Zero really isn't much of a Twitch alternative. However, if you need to clear utility, then try to prioritize Cade Claws and Mirror Windows, as they will fall with 1 shot and you won't need to recharge. Bandit batteries and Jaeger ADSs are also priorities, but less so, as there's multiple of them in one spot most of the time, and after the first shot, the enemy will expect more cameras to be sent in, and they will be destroyed before you can even get the chance to get on that camera. To recap, set up flank cams, look for the arrow on top of your reticle when playing vertically, and don't rely on Intel Man to fill the roles of Thatcher, Kali or Twitch. Zero's primary weapons consist of the SC-3000K assault rifle and the MP7 submachine gun. His secondary weapons are the 5.7 USG handgun and the GON 6. My personal recommendation is to use the SC-3000K AR alongside the GON 6, because the SC has stats that are very similar to the AK-12, but it has a slower fire rate. Either way, it's a phenomenal gun with a little bit of kick, but it's manageable when you get used to it. I use the GON 6 because it's part of Sam's kit that makes him earn the title of Mr. Do-It-All, and I'll explain why I call him that later, but for now, I'll explain what the GON 6 is. The GON 6 is a 1-shot explosive hand cannon which can destroy anything bulletproof, with an added bonus of one-shotting hatches, barricades, and barbed wire. The hand cannon doesn't actually give you the movement speed buff like actual pistols do though, so beware of that. The viability on this gun varies from operator to operator because it is more of a secondary gadget than an actual gun, but on Zero it is viable as it rounds out the rest of his kit quite well. As for the other two weapons, they are also viable in their own right. The MP7 is a low recoil, modest fire rate and modest damage SMG, which is equipable with the 1.5 times scope, which isn't possible on Bandit on defense. Whilst it is very fun to use and has a faster fire rate than the SC3000K, I still think it is outclassed by the AR because the difference in fire rate really isn't that much, whereas the damage difference is. That being said, what gun you use is always down to personal preference. As for the 5.7 USG, it is also viable because using it means you actually get a secondary weapon. However, it comes with a suppressor equipped and you can't take it off, like, at all. But that's not really an issue as the pistol's damage isn't completely crazy anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. This being said, it does have a 21 round magazine, which is enough bullets to completely destroy a barricade if you hit all your shots. Also, Sam holds it at an angle even when not leaning, just because he's cool and quirky like that. Again, secondary weapons are also down to personal preference. In terms of secondary gadgets, Zero is given the choice between 2 hard breach charges or 1 singular claymore. Both of these choices can round off Mr. Do-It-All's kit very well, as hard breach charges means he can pop reinforced hatches or create crouchable or vaultable holes in reinforced walls depending on the level it is placed at, whilst claymores can watch your flank or run out whilst you sit on your cams and gather intel. Personally, I run can openers because having extra hard breach is always great, or if you don't have a dedicated hard breacher, then you, young Padawan, are now the hard breacher. However, if you need someone to watch a run out or flank and don't have a nomad or gridlock, then take the claymore and maybe you'll get a free kill. Zero's job in the prep phase varies on what map or strategy you're trying to go for. From my own experience, it's always worth saving your drone as having 6 intel tools in the action phase is incredibly useful, but you can also set up a flank cam if you really want to, but your tri-cams will be doing that for the most part. You can go into sight to try and identify the bombs and operators, but your drone will die if you do that. Sacrificing your drone for your teammates could work, but I find having one person sitting on cams for a lot of the round rather than multiple is a lot better, as that one person can make calls whilst the other 4 players can act on them. Try to save your drone as you are an intelligent powerhouse. During the action phase, it is your job to gather as much intel as possible. Set up a few flank cams to begin with, clear any cave claws or mirror windows that you can, and then breach the main wall if you need to before getting back on your cameras. Drone teammates in, check your flank cams every once in a while, and most importantly, use your microphone to make callouts. My best performances on Zero have always been when I give callouts, constantly using yellow ping, calling out their position, where they are moving to, and what height they are at, stood up, crouched or prone. Only take gunfights if you have to, or you have another teammate giving you information on a camera that you set up earlier in the round. Once the diffuser is down, place a spare cam you have to watch over it and either get on that 3-sided information tool or hold an angle. If you don't have a spare cam or drone, then hold entrances into sight and listen out for the enemy counter diffusing. Sam has 2 major counters to his cameras with 3 vertices, and they are Jaeger ADSs and mute radio jammers. Jaeger's active defense systems can delete Intel Man's info tools from existence if the Zero player fires them into their line of sight. This means Zero's cameras are treated like any grenade is to the ADSs. It gets destroyed if it flies past it. However, if the camera is in a wall or any surface, then the ADS won't take any notice as the system only deletes projectiles. But the Argus cameras are a projectile when being deployed, so be careful where you fire these things, as Jaeger gets 3 ADSs, so that could potentially be 3 of your cameras just like that. Mute jammers don't destroy SAM cams, they just block the signal. So if you shoot a camera into the radius of a radio jammer, then you won't be able to see or do anything with that camera until the jammer's either destroyed or EMP'd momentarily, so you can shoot out the jammer with your laser pen. Try to avoid mute jammers if you can, as their radius isn't massive and can be easily avoided with your Argus launcher. Another counter for Zero is a Rooney, as her laser gates delete every projectile Jaeger ADSs do and more, so watch out when setting up cameras and try not to send them into laser gates unless you absolutely have to. to. An honourable mention for Sam's counters is Wamai's magnet systems. Wamai is more of a soft counter because his gadget doesn't destroy or disable your triangular cameras. They just move the cams to where the magnet was. This can both be a blessing, but it's mostly a curse, because they prevent you from sending the camera to where you wanted it directly. But it could also end up giving you a spot impossible for you to get otherwise, such as on top of a door frame when you try to send it through into sight. These aren't as much of a detriment to you as Jaeger is, but still try to avoid them as best you can. Finally, any bullets or laser pens can destroy a PU cam when it's deployed, so don't get shot, forehead. The tip to take away from the video is to use your cams more passively. Don't send them into sight, set them up on staircases and corridors for flank watch, and use your drones to gather intel on the inside of sight instead. Save your drone the best you can in the prep phase as your triangle cams can't move, so it's useful to have two cylindrical cams that can drone out sight. You are not a Twitch replacement, but you can be. So don't be afraid to try to clear utility such as anti-breach, cave claws and bandit batteries, or mirror windows. Just remember you only get one shot every 15 seconds and it's very likely that that cam will be shot immediately after you shoot. Learn the SC3000K's recoil as it has a bit of kick, but it really isn't that bad once you get used to it, and it's a brilliant gun with stats comparable to the AK-12. Play safe, play smart, and most importantly, use your microphone to give callouts. With your voice. Talk to your team, goddammit. Overall, Zero is a hard operator to play, as there are so many things to bear in mind when playing him. Your cams are only as good as the player using them, so practice your callouts. Also, placing cams that won't get killed or spotted easily is also quite difficult. Pair this with having to balance giving info to your team and possibly having to set up a claymore or being the hard breacher, alongside maybe needing to get rid of bulletproof utility, then playing Sam can be quite overwhelming. I call him Mr. Do-It-All because he literally does everything except soft destruction, smokes and flashes. Learn to balance all parts of your kit, when to use certain aspects and when to use others. Then you are sure to become a pretty decent Zero player. Thank you all for watching today's video. Whilst editing, I've noticed that some of the clips in the video have god-awful frames, so I'll try and fix that for next time. That being said, all the clips were taken from my Twitch stream, so the link is on screen and in the description right now. It would be greatly appreciated if you could follow me over on there. Castle's next. It's actually Castle next. Last time I got confused at the end of the Trank video, and I'll see you all in a bit. Goodbye.
Oh yeah, box here.
What?
Having box in CC.
Hold on a minute, Ubisoft.